Hello everybody. In this video, I'm gonna show how to disassemble and reassemble an AR-15 rifle. And as always, if you have a magazine in the weapon, you'll hit your magazine release and take out your mag. And then with this rifle, to where you can check the chamber, you'll pull back on the charging handle. And on the other side, this lever here is going to be your bolt catch, and you'll want to press down on this section here when you have it all the way back. With that said, once you have it locked back, you're gonna look in there the best you can to where you can visually and physically check to make sure that there's no rounds in the chamber. Afterwards, there's a couple ways you can go about it. To drop your bolt, you can either pull back on the charging handle so that the bolt catch disengages, or you can just disengage the bolt catch itself by hitting that lever, the top portion of that lever on the other side. So once you get to that point where it's all clear, you'll want to go on this side because these little pins here are going to be your takedown pins to where you can separate your lower from your upper. To and to do that, you're going to need a punch of a similar size or smaller, a Allen key or something of that effect. But I have I'm gonna use this bottle opener that's shaped like a round. So you go ahead and at least get it started. Then you'll want to come to this side and kind of just to make sure that they're all the way out. You'll want to kind of just gently pull and do where the till you know for sure that the pins are all the way out as far as it'll go. And that's how you would separate the upper and lower. Pardon me. But and ideally, what and yeah, you'll have to pull these back out when you put it back together. But it'll be a good idea to go ahead and just push these back in until you're done with your cleaning. This way, in the event, even though it's a slim chance of it happening, there's there's always that chance that it gets knocked off your table or what have you, and if hitting the floor just right where you end up snapping your pins, if they're all the way out. But to kind of just as a precautionary measure, that's why you want to go ahead and just put your pins back in until you go to put it together again. Now, when when it's to where you go to get to the point of cleaning your buffer and spraying, there will be a little. I'm gonna try to give it. There's a little plunger piece there that you'll have to depress, and then and it's it's where you may have to kind of work with it some because the spring can get hung up on that plunger, and then and all, but you'll clean, give this a good cleaning, which in most cases it ain't gonna be that, shouldn't be that dirty unless you're like shooting a whole bunch of ammo through the rifle, but it's still a good practice to go ahead and just clean it and give it some lubrication because it's one of the friction points, because and all that. And once you get it all cleaned and lubed, you put it back in. But it's a moving part. But to take, so when you go to do your upper bolt and charging handle area, to where you can access everything to clean, you'll pull back on the charging handle and your bolt carrier group will come out with it. And see, as it is right now, the charging handle will only go so far until you kind of pull down on it, like where you can kind of like that after it gets to a certain point, because it'll have these little, it's kind of got these notches on the side that lines up with a certain point in the axle, and it'll slide in and out there. And once you get it locked in up here in the axle, it'll that's how you're going to be able to do your charging handle. Now, some people don't worry about cleaning the charging handle, and others do. It's in my opinion, it's one of those things where it wouldn't hurt to clean and lube the charging handle when you're doing it, everything, and this will give you. But with the charging handle and bolt out, that'll give you access to the upper portion of the action chamber and the bell where you can clean it out and all that to your liking. Now, to do so you can clean your bolt, you're gonna have a. This is where a smaller tool such as this Allen wrench is going to come in handy because of this little retention pin that holds your firing pin in place. You'll want to get up in, because it's going to have like a little hole there that you can fit your Allen key through. Then you can pull that out. Try to get it where y'all can see that without losing it and everything. But that's what it's going to kind of look almost like a hairpin, almost, but that's the pin, retaining pin for your firing pin. But once you get that out, your firing pin, flip your bolt like that, where the back end's downwards, and your bolt your firing pin be right there. Now, to take your bolt head off, you'll want to push it back, and then there's going to be this pin here that holds it in place. And the way the pin heads is to lock everything in place, it's going to have to go across like that, as it is right now. To undo it, you want to turn it like that, where it's going in the same direction, and then get it where you can take your pin out and put it off to the side, and then ease your bolt head out. And if it's to where some now, as an extra step, some folks will go and do this while others won't, but to where you can clean under and around the extractor on this bolt head, there's going to be a pin right there. And this is where you can either, if I'm not mistaken, you can either, yep, okay, so yeah, you can either use your firing pin and it'll only go in so far. But in this case, you can either, once you get it that far, you can take like a pair of needle nose pliers to grab the exposed pin and pull out, or you can get a small Allen wrench and push it through. Because this one particular Allen wrench is perfect enough of a size to where I could push the pin all the way out. But once you get everything cleaned up and you go to put this back together, you'll hold the extractor ejector piece here in place, and then get so that you can get the pin back in and all. And once everything's as clean to your liking as you want it, what you're going to want to do is when you put your bolt head back into place, you'll want to have it at your you're going to want your extractor ejector piece here at the 11 o'clock position on the bolt. So you'll pop it in, and you'll kind of want to set up like that right there. Then grab your bolt head pin, which of course you want your bolt head all at back, because there's a hole that you got to line up where you can put your bolt pin in, and then you want to turn that piece there to where the long piece of the pinhead long ways is going like that. Then you want to that, and if do like everything right, it should not come back out until you take that pin out. Now to put your firing pin back in. Now some folks when they go to do it, they'll stand it straight up and they'll drop the pin firing pin through the wheel of the bolt and kind of just line it up and drop it in. But I found it easier to just go through this middle section and just kind of drop it in through there. Afterwards, it should be where you can take your retaining pin for your firing pin there. Now, it's the way you may have to work with it some, cause sometimes it's gotta be at a certain spot to, but it's gotta be at a certain spot to so that it'll go in. Bear with me. Sometimes it goes right in. Other times, there we go. Sometimes it goes right in for me. Other times it wants to not cooperate. But nonetheless, it should once you get your bolt back together, what you want to do is to where you can get your with the foot when you go to put things back together, you want to get your charging handle in first, and just for a little bit of a to make things easier, you'll want your bolt head all the way forward, and then ease your bolt in after you get your charging handle in first, and go as all the way forward with it. Now get where you can get your pins back out, and then you're gonna want to, because these little things here are going to be your anchor point that attaches the upper to the lower once you get the pins in. So you'll line these up, but you'll get your rifle where it's all the way together and your the holes lined up. Then you'll just push these pins back in, and then your rifle will be back together. Now, and as always, you it's ideal to do a functions check after you get your weapon back together, so that you know it'll to make sure that it's going to function properly when you go to use it again. So you'll rack or charge the weapon, and I myself like to check the safety first to ensure that you know it ain't gonna do nothing if when I go to do the trigger, and then to check the trigger to make sure it works like it should. And that's functions checked and it's working as it should. Now, while I'm already kind of on the subject, and if I'm not mistaken, I kind of mentioned it in one or two of my previous videos. It's one. I think it's one of the videos. I think I mentioned it a little bit, but it's gonna be. Of course, it's gonna be. The time frame and round count's gonna between cleaning is going to be a matter of personal preference. For some, it's gonna fall within a 50 round count that's been fired because that's like all the person does during a range day, while others is gonna kind of go up from there, where where it's gonna be like, for example, 100 rounds, 200 rounds, and so forth, and all. There's even some that will go as many as 1 to 2,000 rounds before and all between cleaning and all, but it by the end by the end of the day, it's going to still fall in that personal preference category of how soon or how long it is before you know each person cleans their particular weapon system, which is regardless, it's still a good idea to do because it kind of helps with, especially when you do more of a detailed clean, it allows you to check your springs and whatnot and other parts to make sure that there's nothing faulted going on. Because that obviously, with majority of things, the more you use said item, the more wear and tear, and eventually parts will break eventually. And regular maintenance, it's gonna and cleaning's gonna help you kind of keep an eye on those things. And sometimes, things break way sooner than expected, and that if you if done right, you can kind of catch those things early before a catastrophic failure occurs. And obviously, with a firearm, that's not going to be something you want a catastrophic failure to occur with, you know, or at least one of the main things that you wouldn't want to have, you know, fail that badly on. But thanks for watching. I know this video was a bit long, but that's how you disassemble and reassemble an AR-15. And thank you again for watching.